Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in a prior video we took a look at this FOBOS Knives Tier 1C in some good quality practical field use. This had fantastic performance, all things considered, beautiful construction, awesome with the 3V steel, excellent edge retention, great overall performance. But today what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at another offering from FOBOS. So FOBOS Knives for operators by operators. This one here, this is the Tier 1 BC. So a slightly different offering than what we've taken a look at in the past. Now you'll notice it's in the box. I haven't even as much as opened this up. We're going to get into this in detail today in a first look and impressions video. So when we get back, we'll get this unboxed. We'll go through it in detail. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at FOBOS Knives who did provide this for review. And so I don't know about you, but when I first saw the Tier 1C BC being announced and people starting to talk about it, I immediately wondered, well, how does it stack up against the Tier 1C? So I'm going to kind of keep this off to the side here, and we're going to refer back to this at various points for various reasons. But again, as we get into this, you can see everything coming beautifully packaged up, very nicely protected. Everything, just a gorgeous presentation. You can see here now the BC is going to come with a Kydex. That's the very first thing you'll see. Obviously, if you go back to my Tier 1C video, it does come with an absolutely gorgeous leather sheath, very practical, just an absolutely awesome addition to the setup. But here you have the Kydex. Now a lighter package, a thinner package, equally good in terms of performance and maybe a little easier to lash this in different areas to a pack or to gear or whatnot. So we'll get into this part in detail, but as we continue through, little bit of blade wax. So that's a nice little addition, help keep your blade maintained, which is awesome. A small variety of stickers, just a nice touch. When you start spending premium money on a premium knife, subtle little things like just a few stickers really does go a long way, and it shows that they care. Warranty information, as you take a look here, refer to their website. Let's see if this says, so their warranty department information, sales information, and on the back, their generational warranty, which I will read because sometimes people do have questions about warranty. So FOBOS, famous generational warranty. This FOBOS knife is guaranteed for life, regardless of owner transfer. It is designed as a tool with a specific purpose, to keep you alive. If in your training or use, should this knife fail due to faulty workmanship, faulty materials, or defects, your FOBOS knife will be repaired or replaced. This limited lifetime warranty does not cover incorrect application or neglect. Any modifications that are made to the knife that possibly affect the integrity of the FOBOS heat treat will void the warranty. We guarantee and warranty the tool, not the person. Don't be an idiot. Your FOBOS knife is designed to be utilized in the most extreme conditions, so learn to use it, train with it, even how to abuse it. Do this, and it will be there with you at the end. It may even be the reason you are there in the end. This FOBOS knife is also designed to be an heirloom, to be found by your great-grandson in the attic, in your footlocker. Take care of it because it will take care of you. Because someday they may need it to take care of them. And so I thought that was interesting and worth reading to all of you. Definitely very cool. Some more information here. Integrity, strength, success, FOBOS Knives, general information, care and maintenance, basic information about your knife. So again, you can see here that FOBOS going into great detail to give you the information that you need. Your information here. So steel and heat treat and bevel and shape and design and the degrees of angle and wow, I mean just so much information here. The just care and the attention to detail is magnificent. So I will refer back to this as we get into this video. Underneath here, the knife itself. So here again, the FOBOS Knives, and again the Tier 1 BC, which right away you can clearly see the similarities between the Tier 1C and the BC, but there are definitely going to be some significant differences. The first thing, the size. Right away when you pick up the BC, this knife is light and nimble. It is way light. This just has a fantastic balance and feel to it. I liked the Tier 1C, but this is heavy. It's got some heft. Pretty heavy in the hand, a little bit forward weighted. The BC is going to be the lighter, smaller, and more nimble brother. This is going to be just a little bit easier to carry and hopefully still have some of the same capabilities of its larger brother. Which, while we're at it here, dropping these on the scale, the Tier 1C here, 15 ounces. So 1 ounce shy of a pound. And then once you couple it with the sheath, total package here, 1 pound, 7.8 ounces. So about 1.5 pounds, not terribly heavy, but again, comparing against the Tier 1 BC, it's not quite, but almost half the weight in terms of the knife itself, so 9.4 ounces. And now coupling it with the sheath, even with the sheath, 13.2 ounces, it's like 2 full ounces less than the Tier 1C knife alone. So you can see right away that the BC is going to be that lighter, more nimble, and I don't know if BC stands for bushcraft, but I would even go as far as to say bushcrafty style model. Now the next thing, this particular model is in Magnacut, which is cool. So my original Tier 1C in 3V, which is already premium, and now in Magnacut, which personally for me, I am absolutely thrilled. I have not yet had a knife with Magnacut. This is the very first model I will be able to experiment with to really start to get a feel for this particular steel. Again, I've just never had that opportunity. So this is awesome. This Magnacut ringing in at 62 HRC, and it does have a cryo treatment. So 62 HRC is getting up there in terms of hardness. So the edge retention should be through the roof. It's probably going to be a bear to resharpen, so don't chunk an edge, just maintain it. For me personally, I always get away and have my entire knife career. Like literally when I tell you, every single knife that you've seen me use, every one on my entire video, go back and research how many knife videos I've done. Every single one of those knives, all of them, have been maintained with a leather strop and a fine ceramic rod. Almost none of them have had actual diamond stones put to them. So if you know what you're doing and you take your time and you don't chunk an edge and you're careful and hopefully just have a little bit of luck, you should be able to get away with a, I would say at the most aggressive, like a medium ceramic rod, but a fine ceramic rod and a leather strop. And this is so wicked sharp right out of the box. So you can see this grind is going to be, again, different from the Tier 1C. The reason why I say that, and you're not really going to be able to see it, but the Tier 1C is convexed from the top of that saber grind all the way down to the secondary bevel. So it's a thick, chunky knife, thick on the edge, just robust. But here, the BC, from what I can tell and feeling it, is more of a flat grind or a full flat grind. I don't think it's hollow ground, and I'd be surprised if they would hollow grind a knife like this. I feel like it's just a flat grind from the saber down to the secondary bevel. So again, just going to be a little more slicey, and that also takes out some of the weight. Looking back at the documentation, so they do say this has a 4-degree flat primary bevel. So there you go. They do indicate a 4-degree flat primary bevel going down into a factory ground 20-degree secondary bevel, which for me I think is going to be a nice serviceable edge. I can already tell you this is going to be great for slicing. They say for light use 17 degrees, medium use 19.5, which is pretty darn close to where we're at, and for hard use 22 degrees. I will probably never mess with this factory grind angle. To me, it literally feels perfect right out of the box. I can usually tell just by feeling how thick it is behind the edge, the overall sharpness, and then with that primary bevel coming down, this is going to carve just fine. So no need to mess with that edge geometry at all. And look at that edge just gleaming off of the primary bevel, which is PVD coated. So the coating here, a PVD, which should be a fairly low traction coating and good and durable. I like the way this looks, absolutely beautiful all the way into those handle slabs, which in this particular case, carbon fiber. Another reason why this particular model is nice and lightweight. G10 can be pretty heavy. So here you can see on the original Tier 1C, this black G10 is dense. It's a durable material. It can take a pounding. You really can't beat it. But I mean, it can definitely be heavy. So now with the BC, going to that carbon fiber keeps this extremely light. Feels really, really good. And you can see they've integrated the bow drill divots on both sides of the handle. Again, comparing back to the Tier 1C, here you can see my particular Tier 1C without the bow drill divots, but here this does, which is cool. Now, some of the subtleties as we look at the overall blade, you can see the unsharpened swedge. You end up with, all of the detail across the top, which you did come to know from the original Tier 1C. Then again, you get into the ferro rod notch, the subtle jimping, which is aggressive enough, yet knocked over and beveled, so it doesn't tear up your thumb. And I would say even better here on the BC than on the original Tier 1C. So their attention to detail and refinement just getting more and more detailed as we go. Transitioning into the spine, which actually I really like what they did here. The spine starts just a little bit proud and crowned, and then it becomes flush through the rest of the tang and through the rest of the handle. So they've chamfered it so that it's comfortable, doesn't create any hot spots, and actually it lends itself to the jimping and the way the jimping falls off the back of the spine of the knife. Down into some real refined and fine jimping to that pommel end, and then the oversized lanyard hole. Only leveraging 2 screws here on the BC versus the 3 that we had on the Tier 1C, but again, that's because you end up with that bow drill divot in the middle. And I don't think a knife of this size really does necessarily warrant 3 screws, so that's just fine. The underside, again, very nicely done. You'll notice the red liners absolutely popping off the tang of the knife, and then down into the subtle jimping in that choil, which we did see again on the Tier 1C. So again, just a lot of the same design elements, a lot of the same sort of flair, and then into the forward choil, which is going to lend itself for forward control and nice balance. Right away, I can tell you I am going to be infatuated with this knife. It's going to land in my knife block, and it's not going to leave. I absolutely cannot wait to get this out for field use. I can tell you already it's going to be a fantastic performer. The balance is amazing. The capabilities should be through the roof, and I'm just so excited to leverage the Magnacut for the first time. Now, just to give you some further specifications and comparisons here, I'm basically going to line both these up on the tips. So the Tier 1C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and a quarter overall inches versus the BC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and a quarter inches. So you get about an inch longer overall on the Tier 1C. The overall blade length, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I would say 3/4 on the cutting edge, but that puts you out to about 6 3/4 on the overall blade length on the Tier 1C versus 1, 2, 3, 4, just shy of 5 inches, pretty much 5 inches almost on the nose for the BC, 6 inches overall on the blade length. Lining up the handles here, so let's see what we get. I'm basically going to line these up right on that sort of forward part there. We end up with almost identical same handle length. Now, a little bit sleeker, a little bit smaller, a little less deep in overall profile. The overall length, again, pretty much about the same. I mean, we're talking about subtleties at this point. In terms of the thickness, let's get into the thickness of the blade stock. On the Tier 1C, you can see here, so literally right exactly at 1/4 of an inch for the Tier 1C versus 0.19, 0.2 for the BC, which is basically 3/16 of an inch. So the difference between that 1/4 inch steel and the 3/16, I can tell you 3/16 is going to be more than stout enough for your general needs. Not going to be overbuilt, but it's going to be thick enough for your general needs. So that's going to be a wonderful performer, striking the balance between your durability and strength and your slicing capability. Measuring out the handle at the thickest point on the Tier 1C, 0.85 roughly in terms of the thickness at the widest part of the handle on the Tier 1C versus 0.7 or 0.71 on the BC. So again, you can clearly see the BC just being a thinner, lighter, more nimble package. But again, talking about this as a package, we already talked about the Tier 1C coming with this beautiful leather, absolutely fantastic, nice retention, just gorgeous craftsmanship, adding the ability to, put a ferro rod and maybe carry it scout style, a couple of straps, you could lash it to a pack, no problem. I dressed mine up. I sort of finished this off with just some polish and made it look the part. Absolutely beautiful. But the Kydex here, I am very interested in because I think this is going to be a nice quality, durable, yet lightweight and just efficient part of this Tier 1 BC package all in all. So here, as we fit the knife into the Kydex, doesn't sound like there's much in the way of drag, so that's good. Seating the knife. Ooh. Perfect click, which I don't need it to click. It could be a friction fit and I'd be fine with that. But fact of the matter is, that's good and solid. I'm going to hold the strap so it doesn't slap around. There's no way this knife is coming out of that Kydex. This is awesome because for me personally, I would love to rock this knife inverted on the shoulder strap of my pack. It's a large knife, but it's light enough that would do it wonderfully. Beautiful little subtle ramp on the top here to push off, and the ability just to get my hand right into that choil, pop the knife out. That's sweet. Now, one thing I can tell you is this has a nice dangler attachment on the back, which is awesome. And this strap, which is going to be, again, durable, gives you the ability to lash this a few different ways. This is one of those sort of directional types of snaps. You have to press it on a specific direction, which I think is, yep, there you go. So that's going to help in terms of the overall capabilities, keeping this, on your pack or on your belt or whatever you're trying to do. So that's awesome. It does get just a little bit in the way of your ability to grab onto the knife and yank it out. You'll see that this part of the dangler system just gets in where your finger wants to grab. So a little bit of competition, a space right there, but you can do it and it's flexible. So it will flex out of the way. Having this Kydex backing does make that just a little bit flexible. So that will work just fine. I love that they included the rivets here. If these are standard spacing, you could also include a clip. So just checking that out real quick. this does say 0.75, so standard spacing on these rivets, which is incredibly important, and very nice attention to detail, knowing what they're doing, because you could put something like a molly lock or a dots lock or, you know, a tech lock or anything like that to give you multiple carry options, and this could easily just, you know, get tucked out of the way. Now, I think if you're careful, that is fully riveted, so unfortunately, I don't think that can come off, but not a big deal. If that was removable, that would make this totally capable of getting out of the way. So just something to consider, the fact that, you know, again, this does leave you flexible, but you would pretty much need to leave that loop in place if you went with another clip solution. But you can certainly remove this backing plate, which is awesome, and then you end up with all your lashing points. So nicely cut lashing points all the way down for webbing, all your standard spacing in the Kydex for, you know, all the different locks and, you know, attachment points and everything. Beautifully done, little drainage hole at the end. This is just a nice, thin, sleek, well-made, well-formed, and beautiful package. So all in all, extremely well done with this entire package, all the way from the knife to the sheath. I am so pumped about this, extremely happy about this build, the quality, and the feel in the hand. And as if I wasn't already impressed at the performance of the Tier 1C, I do think the Tier 1 BC is going to exceed my expectations. I think it's going to exceed the performance. I just think this is, for me, sort of a more conducive knife to what I want to do. I like the feel, I like the balance, I like the overall, you know, grind. I think it's just a refined knife, and don't get me wrong, the Tier 1C was already awesome, but I think the BC is just a little more refined. It's just a little more simple. It's just a little more bushcrafty. This is going to be a fun knife. It's going to do a great job with food prep. I can tell you this is going to be an awesome food prep knife. Just an awesome little camp companion. Pair this up with an axe and a saw, and you can pretty much do everything, anything. I would have absolute confidence in this knife. So again, to the people at FOBOS Knives, thank you so much for providing this for review. This will have much more field use footage in the future. Hopefully I'll get this out for some mountain adventures. And with that, that wraps up my initial look and impressions. And so, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for following along. And if you like this video, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, that channel is growing quickly. I have a ton of videos up there. So if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So, all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.